Dear gynecologists, at the outset, I thank all of you sparing your valuable time. Today, we are discussing the common problems in the gynecology related to urology, that is, one, kidney stones during pregnancy. Number two is stress incontinence. Number three is ureter injury during any of the gynae or obstetric operations. So, warm welcome to you on behalf of Preeti Urology and Kidney Hospital, Hyderabad. Today's speakers are Dr. Siddhalinga Swami, who is with me for last 4 years and head of the department in BHEL Hospital, Preeti Urology and Kidney Hospital. Second speaker regarding stress incontinence is Dr. Soundarya from Madras Medical College, who is also with me and taking care predominantly female urology and special focus on the meatal stenosis in females and buccal mucosal erythroplasty in females, and also urodynamic study. I am myself Dr. V. Chandramohan, Managing Director, Preeti Urology and Kidney Hospital. With this introduction, we have also our team here. During this first talk, Dr. Siddhalinga Swami, who is a senior consultant from BHEL Hospital, will give the first talk on kidney stones during pregnancy. As you all know, kidney stones are very common nowadays in pregnancy, before pregnancy, during pregnancy, after pregnancy. What to do, he will enlighten now. Over to Dr. Siddhalinga Swami.
Welcome everyone for this hot summer CME. I know everyone is bored of doing the Zoom meeting. We are fed up with this. Let us go with the good spirit from this now on. So I'll be giving a brief talk on the stones in pregnancy. How do they form? What makes them the necessary to treat them, and how we are treating them. This is just a brief introduction about that. So renal stones are relatively rare during the pregnancy. It's not commonly seen, but it is one of the most common non-obstetrical pain in a pregnant patient. It is very difficult to differentiate between the physiological and the pathological changes, and the diagnostic tests or dilemma and treatment options are very limited. So clinical care of a woman needs to be optimized while balancing the potential risk of fetus and the pregnancy. So what happens in the renal tract changes? Just a brief introduction. Just a progesterone hormone, as you all know, relaxes the smooth muscles, induces peristalsis, reduces the enlarged gravid uterus, will also compress, especially later parts of the pregnancy. This physiological hydronephrosis occurs in 90% of the pregnant women, and dilatation starts as early as 6 weeks gestation and resolves with 6 weeks postpartum. So renal plasma flow is also increased more than 50% in pregnancy. This leads to the main problems of urinary excretion of calcium, uric acid, sodium and oxalate, which are all lithogenic. That is a problem here. So calcium tubular reabsorption is also reduced due to the suppression of the parathyroid hormone. All these changes put together, there will be a risk of formation of stones associated with hydronephrosis. So what is the incidence? We see around 1 in 1,500 pregnant females getting a stone disease. Stones appear to be more common in the multiparous women, and 80 to 90% occur in the second and third trimester. So most common stone, as usual in the general public, here also there is the calcium stones most common, followed with other stones like steroid, uric acid and cystine, and rare stones. So what are the clinical presentations? How do we differentiate from the obstetrical or non-obstetrical? I'm not going into the details of that, just giving an overview so that you will be knowing when to refer this case to a urologist. So during pregnancy, the flank pain is the most common presentation, as we all know, along with hematuria, which is seen around 75 to 95%. Exact reasons not known, but not of this percentage is seen in a common patients who are non-pregnant. So pregnancy has a risk of hematuria is more. So pain with hematuria, suspect stone and UTI and refer. That is the most common indication here. So renal stones may also be present in the preterm labor, or uterine contractions can also be mimicked. In one series, they have reported a 28% of patients incorrectly diagnosed with appendicitis, diverticulitis, placental abruption also. So what happens with this impacted renal stones in pregnancy? There is a significant risk of recurrent miscarriage, mild preeclampsia, chronic hypertension, gestational diabetes, cesarean deliveries, but there are no definitive risk factors for the child. Congenital malformation or low birth weight is not seen. So diagnosis is a dilemma. So commonly what we do in general public is we get a CT scan. That is a gold standard for us. So everything, even a small bit of stone will be seen on the CT, and if stone is not seen on CT, there is no stone in that patient. But that cannot be applied in pregnancy because of the risk of radiation, as we all know. So X-ray, CT are ruled out. Not a question of is a primary or the first trimester, second or third trimester. We specifically restrict not to get a CT or an X-ray. MRI, not a very good option because you can see the stone here, which is looking almost like a normal tissue. Even the radiologist will be very difficult to identify such kind of stones on an MRI. So unlikely to be useful, friendly for the urologist or the referring doctor to confirm that it is a stone or not. So it is of not much helpful for diagnosing the stone. So only one investigation which is very sensitive and specific is ultrasound. So problem with this ultrasound is the physiological hydronephrosis, which mimics same, especially on the right side. If patient has a pain on the right side, we will be in the dilemma that whether it is a hydronephrosis related pain or because of the stroke. How do we differentiate this? We have few points.
هلا محاضرة حلوة هلا.
Um, uh, because of the pregnancy, it is limited up to the pelvic brim, where the uterus is compressing the ureters. It will not be seen beyond that. If hydronephrosis, if the radiologist trace beyond the iliac vessels and patient has the symptoms of then take it that he has a stone disease. Few cases they will be able to identify the stone like this with a typical post-echoic shadowing. This is the dilated ureter, dilated pelvis. With the post-echoic shadowing, they will be able to definitely say that it is a stone. Along with the color Doppler, there will be more specific artifacts which will be detected on, and they will be easy to identify that. So sensitivity of the stone detection is improved by using the Doppler study. So and also one more method is knowing the resistive index. This not commonly practiced by our radiologists. If they are able to identify the resistive index, if they can follow the patient and see whether that resistive index is increasing or decreasing, the specificity and sensitivity of detecting the stone on ultrasound increases significantly. So coming briefly on to the management, what to do, when to do, what are the options we have. So in pregnancy, let me be clear, almost 84% stones have been reported to be passed spontaneously. No need of treatment. They usually pass off because of dilated ureter, because of the hormones. They will be able to pass certain size of the stones. 50% of these patients will pass the stone after their delivery. So main indication, treatment and everything depends on two factors. One is stone size, so which is common for all the general public as we discuss, and also for the pregnant patients. So less than 5 mm stone anywhere in the kidney, ureter or in the bladder, medical management will be the first line of choice. Most of these stones will pass, more so in female with pregnancy. More than 10 mm of stones, it is unlikely that they will pass. They will land up in surgical field, or some sort of diversion is definitely required even in pregnancy and non-pregnancy also. If the size is between that 5 to 10 mm, then the questions arise what to do. So these cases, depending on the symptoms, creatinine values and what are the risk factors they have, on that we have to take a decision whether to intervene or not to intervene. So what are the standard medical treatment? What we give is the water intake to be maintained around 3 liters. Analgesics we have very restricted. As you all know, you will be practicing the paracetamol or the dotaverine is the last one which we can give. And NSAIDs we have to stop using more than 30 weeks. Less than 30 weeks, one single shot of diclofenac is accepted, but it's a very severe pain, not tolerating, leading on to multiple vomitings and other things. Then we can give one overon injection, but there is no specific data available whether this medical expulsion therapy is useful in these pregnant patients or not. So what are the surgical intervention when we consider, especially when there is an uncontrolled pain? As you all know, the persistent vomiting, sepsis, obstruction is in the solitary kidney or transplanted kidney, then there is no question of medical management. We have to think of surgical intervention. So bilateral obstruction, definite indication, not related to the pregnancy or impending renal failure. Yes, if creatinine is elevated, no question of medical management, no drugs can be given, just divert that stone. So obstetrical complications like premature onset of labor they have indicated, but routine practice it's difficult to analyze it. So what are the options we have? So there will be two options when the patient presents in an emergency to us. What we have to do? One is a diversion, second is a permanent procedure or the definitive procedure. So for the diversion we have two methods, one as a stent and a PCN. Stent is nothing but a small plastic tube, double J stent, which coils into the bladder and to the renal pelvis, and one more is the percutaneous nephrostomy, that is a small tube placed into the kidney from the backside of the patient. So definitive treatment, we have three commonly done procedures in urology for this stone, that is ureteroscopy, percutaneous nephrolithotomy and RIRS, that is retrograde intrarenal surgery. So DJ stent or PCN, this is the plastic tube which has been placed by the side of the stone. It's both are just a temporary drainage purpose when there is an infection or a large stone burden or altered anatomy, transplanted kidney, bilateral stones. These are the indications where they will present in an emergency and we have to take care of their pain or the symptoms related to that. Then we indicate to go for stent or the PCN. So main problem with this is advantage is definitely it's a quicker on spot, we can do it, no need of fluoroscopy, no need of anesthesia. But problem is these are dislodged, migrated, colonization can occur and tube blockade. We have to keep on flushing or we have to change the tube frequently, which is bothersome and struggle for the patient. So definitive procedure definitely that is ureteroscopic laser lithotripsy, what we commonly practice in our day-to-day practice for even the pregnant patients. So initially we are not opting this procedure for the first trimester. So second and third trimester we can go ahead with ureteroscopic laser lithotripsy. Many studies have been done. The laser what we are using to pulverize the stone from the ureteroscope has been shown to be very safe. There is no lateral spread of this laser. There is no problem with the child having any disease or malformations. So this is a small video. It's an impacted upper ureteric stone. So this is the way the laser works over there, making a space for us to put at least a stent across that small tube so that we will be able to drain more of urine and the pain will be less. So always we keep a guide wire by the side of us to be more safe. We go on pulverizing the stone slowly, making it into multiple pieces and making the space like this. So once the space is made, then the draining of urine will be better, the stones can be washed out easily. So ESWL is one more option, outdated I have to say, but we can't use it in pregnancy. It has been contraindicated because of the effects on the fetal damage have been established. So percutaneous nephrolithotomy is the bun and butter of urologist for big stones, but problem with the pregnant patient is we need a lot of radiation to get this procedure done. So unlikely that it will be done in any pregnant patients because of the radiation, because we need a CM image to diagnose our tract puncture and everything, which is so not commonly practiced. So what we are doing here in our institute is RIRS. This is a definitive procedure done like a ureteroscope, just with an extension entering into the kidney and lacing the stone wherever it is, completely powder it and put a stent and come back. So this is the way it enters from the normal passage up to the kidney. We'll be seeing the stone under vision. We basket or break the stone with the laser and completely empty it. So this is a small example of how we do this stone. You can see the lower pole stone, one big stone on the right side of the kidney. So we are using a basket specifically made for that. We go and catch that stone with the basket. You can see correlation on the CM picture here, where it is getting straightened, means it is pushed into one more calyx, and then we go on with the laser, powder it completely and clear the stone. So now this has been the gold standard for all the renal calculi at present for less than 2 centimeter stones, and even including in pregnancy also. Many studies have been going on and many studies have been completed without any risk factors, with a daycare surgery, these things are possible now. So, as you all know, stone disease management is a tricky, especially for the pregnant ladies. So, I hope I have cleared some of the finer details. If you have any questions, please be free to ask me.
So to conclude, what Dr. Siddhalinga said is, in nutshell, before the pregnancy, if the patient has 3 to 4 stones, no need to postpone pregnancy. Number two, if you have a large stone before pregnancy, better to operate, finish it, and then become pregnant if you are not in hurry. Number three, during pregnancy, if the stones small are detected in the kidney, no need to treat anything. During pregnancy, if ureteric stone is there, no pain, no need to treat, they will fall. During pregnancy, very severe pain is there, manage conservatively. During pregnancy, very severe pain with fever is there, better to put the stent. During pregnancy, large stone detected, manage conservatively. So only pain and fever leading to hydronephrosis in the kidney is the only indication, because CM, CT, MRI, all the three cannot be used. During surgery also CM cannot be used, but we can use RIRS where CM is not required sometimes, but that also not 100% guarantee. So preferably in pregnancy, better not to do any surgery except stenting in hydronephrotic cases. Thank you.